Hi, I actually organized this list and made the thumbnail years and years ago before the eShop closed, so a lot of these games have gained more traction since then. However, we're going to talk about them as if you've never played them, just in case you haven't. Last disclaimer, we're going to be talking about games that are on the 3DS. We're just not going to include games that were ported to the 3DS. Like I played Pokemon Crystal on my DS, however that was published for the Game Boy Color, so no Pokemon Crystal today. Alright, to kick things off, we're going to take a look at the first installment of the unmistakably iconic Ace Attorney series. Phoenix Wright is the quintessential courtroom battle game. It has a balanced blend of humor, optimism, and murder. The wheels of justice have never been such a fun ride until Ace Attorney. Each and every single character has a unique design and personality that monopolizes the screen. They also have cartoonish, over-the-top mannerisms and gestures they perform when they're losing or winning, and that specifically is a lot of fun. It's not a game made for one specific age group that I know of, however playing it definitely makes you feel like a kid again, in a good way obviously. It's very bouncy and upbeat and has such a big following for great reasons. Next up, we're going to be talking about Hotel Dusk. This is another visual novel game with a mystery plot. It's very stylish and has some really smooth rotoscoping. You play as kind of a neo-noir detective searching for his former partner, and the entirety of the game takes place in a hotel over the course of one day. I've always been generally a bigger fan of bottle settings. You don't have to spend a lot of story time adjusting to new locations, and obviously focusing on one location gives it a great deal of significance and attention. If you have less things, you have more time. Like, my favorite book is Misery by Stephen King, and if you've read it, I think it's a great example of fleshing out a story's limited resources, so certain events really hit harder. Hopefully that makes sense, but the developers knew how to get the most out of the NDS hardware. While Hotel Dusk has a solid mystery, its strength definitely lies in its world building. The characters are really convincing and feel genuine. The mixed media art is cohesive and transportive. I think that's how you say it. I have some relatives up in the middle of nowhere, Montana, and everything about this game really brought me back to those sites that are just trapped in time. But yeah, good times. Next up, we're going to be talking about The World Ends With You. So The World Ends With You is a JRPG with a pretty unique real-time battle system. It's a single-player game, however you fight as two respective characters. One utilizes the touchpad and the other uses the control pad. The transition between characters is actually very smooth and rhythmic. It's definitely not like the LEGO games, where the swapping of characters can sometimes take up time and detract from the overall experience. However, if you just want to focus on one guy, the one on the top screen will autoplay, so no worries there. It's also very fashionable and has a great sense of style. To me, it's like Gorillaz meets the Nickelodeon show 16, which is great. Next, we're going to be talking about 999, so 9 persons, 9 doors, 9 hours. Obviously, not to be confused with Galaxy Express 999, that is a completely different thing. I don't know if it's obvious by now, but I really like visual novel games. If you read a lot of those interactive books growing up, especially the Goosebumps ones, I think you'll really enjoy this game. It functions a lot like a choose your own adventure where you're supposed to collect all the endings, emphasis on all, and a large sum of the game is also a point and click escape room. 999 is a thrilling sci-fi horror adventure with some giallo kind of elements. It's really clever with its exposition. It didn't move a lot of copies upon its release, however it's definitely gained a cult following since then. 999 also uses the dual screen support really well with its creative integration of interface and story. They re-released it on the Xbox a while ago, and I replayed through a few of the endings. It definitely gave some of the more frustrating aspects a fresh coat of paint. I would still play it on the DS if you can. The remaster certainly doesn't pack the same punch, and if you're a person who's more interested in ease of gameplay over storytelling, just don't even bother with 999. That's kind of blunt, but it's best experience with less prior knowledge, so by chance you haven't played it, you should play it on the DS. Next up, I may never experience Kenkisi's acid test, but I have played bit.trip Saga, and I bet they're fairly similar experiences. bit.trip Saga is a 2D platformer that takes you to infinity and beyond with its 6 arcade-style space-based rhythm games. It's a bit like the Atari 2600 titles on acid. The graphics are really clean and they have a kaleidoscopic quality to them that gets bigger and bigger as you play, and it's definitely one of my favorite games to lose track of time with. The last on this list today is going to be Elite Beat Agents. So this is a rhythm game, however of course it has some graphic novel elements. The Elite Beat Agents are like a Black Ops cheerleaders that save citizens in various situations by playing Just Dance. It's actually not motion based, you drag and tap and spin these little buttons that are synced with different pop tracks. I don't have a capture card or anything, but I'll probably display some gameplay footage here just so you can get a better idea of what I mean. But yeah, while you're busy tapping away, EVA capitalizes on the top screen by displaying comic panels that develop a story based on how good your timing is. There will be some intermissions in gameplay where you're just supposed to watch the top screen and observe how you've progressed in the story. But yeah, I have here written down, I'm gonna say it wrong, but the original Japanese title is Osu Tetekai Oendan. It has the same premise, however it's based on Oendan, which translates to cheer group. So the agents were originally these Japanese male cheerleaders, I'm so sorry, and instead of just porting that, they made an entirely separate game localized to the West. Elite Beat Agents is definitely a highlight in my collection. It's very lighthearted, it's very funny, yeah. So in closing, the DS is my favorite series of gaming consoles. It has an incredibly versatile interface that has supported a vast library of games for many, many decades. These were just a few games that I love, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.